Sweated to the truth, nothing but the truth. Put my hands on the Bible, y'all point me to the booth. Sweated to the truth.
Hey yo, real quick, you want the opportunity to rock some new merch? Go to the description box and hit that link, imagodayapparel.shop, and place your orders now. This helps me to deliver more content and give you the quality that you need. Again, that's imagodayapparel.shop, and we thank you for your support. Peace and love.
And sale is off, bro, but y'all can still get over there, get y'all some merch, man. I promise you will not be disappointed, man. But what's going on, bro? I got a good one for you all today, man. So our boy Ice Cube goes on Bill Maher's show and talks about the higher ups who own the record labels and how they have vested interest into private prisons and how that seems to be a bit suspicious, a bit manipulative, a bit conniving, all that. But bro, I'm done talking. Let's tap in.
Let's take rap music.
Let's take it.
Okay. Same people who own the labels own the prisons. So
Literally the same people?
literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons. The records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
But they didn't make you write those lyrics.
It's not about making somebody write the lyrics. It's about being there as guardrails to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't. This to me is in somewhat some social engineering going on here to make sure those prisons stay full.
Do they actually, like, Monday, Tuesday go to work as a record company executive and Wednesday through Friday go to work at the prisons?
No.
Okay, so if
Of course they're not
Okay.
actually running the labels.
they
running those
have
things.
financial interest in
They
it.
have financial interest.
And just to throw out a little math out there, private prisons make somewhat to about $60,000 per inmate. Now, the numbers were fluctuating when I did look that up, but it was somewhere close to around 60,000. And annually, put a drum roll on this, bro. Annually, they bring in $374 million, bro. That's a lot of money. So no wonder they would be pumping out this music, pushing this music, because they want to keep the prisons filled, especially if you making money like that. And we know that if we're talking about prisons, we're talking about the government as well, the CIA, because the CIA been seeming to have their hands into a whole bunch of stuff, bro. And for the people that might think this stuff is conspiracy, I honestly could care less. But when you actually look up documented proof that the CIA flooded the communities with crack cocaine to fund some war off of Nicaragua, I hope I'm saying it right. If not, somebody correct me in that. And even rumored and I believe to be documented that they had some dealings in MLK's doing away with or what Malcolm X is doing with. But it's documented that they did have some dealings with JFK's doing away with. It wouldn't seem far-fetched to me at all that the CIA would be involved into something like this as well. As a matter of fact, we have a letter from a retired CIA agent named John Holmeston, who went on Russian national television and said that rap was created by the CIA as a psyop to sow discord in America. And what better way to do that than through rap music? It's destructive, it's satanic, it glorifies guns, drugs, sex. I mean, if you wanted to ruin a generation and make it sound good, by what other means or method would you go about doing that other than rap music? But let's read the article.
John Homeston, a retired CIA agent, has admitted on national Russian television that the CIA was behind the creation of the 1980s hip-hop scene and financed major hip-hop acts including NWA, Africa Boombata, and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. The government at the time spent, quote, big money, serious money, on this covert operation destined to further division and corrupt the American youth to nihilist, anti-establishment, and anti-American ideologies, he explained in a half-hour interview broadcast on national television. Famous hip-hop songs of the legendary hip-hop outfit NWA were even scripted by a team of psychologists and war propagandists of the CIA. F the police, and when I'm called off, I got a sawed off, squeeze the trigger, and bodies are hauled off, and other nihilist and anti-establishment lyrics were intended to unleash a wave of cynicism towards authorities, promote the use of heavy drugs, and entice the youth with revolutionary counter-establishment ideas. The retired CIA agent claims the social engineering maneuver was extremely successful. Quote, we understood at the time that music was a powerful means of propaganda to reach the youth, explained the 77-year-old man. Our mission was to use teenage angst to our advantage and turn Generation X into a decadent, pro-drug, and anti-establishment culture that would create uprisings and further division within society. We even infiltrated mainstream radio to promote their music and reach millions of people every day, he admitted, visibly proud of the accomplishment. For many of us in the CIA, infiltrating the 1980s hip-hop scene was one of the CIA's most successful experiments of propaganda to date, he acknowledged during the interview. The retired CIA agent, who was granted a Russian residence permit in 2011, also claimed Lyre Cohen, commonly known as the tall Israeli who runs hip-hop, is a CIA asset. When it comes to engineering culture, no one touches Lyre Cohen, Homestead admitted. He ended up promoting rappers such as Jay-Z and Kanye West, and more recently brought Migos and Young Thug to prominence. Some experts openly admit hip-hop nihilism, which was expressed in the use of harder, more self-destructive drugs like heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamine, pushed United States President Richard Nixon into the war on drugs, a campaign of prohibition of drugs and foreign military intervention, with the stated aim being to define and reduce the illegal drug trade within America and around the world. Quote, the chaos we caused in America helped the government justify overseas wars of plunder to Middle America. The country wouldn't be where it is today without hip-hop.
And now this is the journalist talking more right here. Some of the biggest names in the music industry are in cahoots with private prison owners. The gangster rap music that young people listen to is not only meant to entertain, but is designed to verbally and visually support criminal behavior that funnel young people into these private prisons. In 2021, Core Civic, formerly known as Corrections Corporation of America, the biggest name in the private prisons industry, contacted 48 states offering to buy their prisons. There was one requirement of eligibility for the deal was particularly strange, an assurance by the agency partner that the agency has sufficient inmate population to maintain a 90% occupancy rate over the term of the contract. Wait, what? What kind of legal and ethical measures can be undertaken to ensure the maintenance of a 90% occupancy rate over the term of a contract? In the year 2012, a mere 232 media executives in the U.S. were responsible for controlling all avenues necessary to manufacture any celebrity and spark any trend. Time Warner, as the owner of Warner Brothers Records, could not only sign an artist, but since they are also owners of Entertainment Weekly, they can also put an artist on the cover of magazines by next week. You think you choose what you listen to, but do you really? Here's the kicker. BET and MTV are owned by Viacom. When ownership of these mass media conglomerates is cross-checked with the biggest names in private prison ownership, things start to get more than a little fishy. The largest owner of Core Civic, formerly Corrections Corporation of America, is Vanguard Group Incorporated. Vanguard is the #1 largest holder in both Viacom and Time Warner. Vanguard is also the largest holder in the GEO Group, the second largest owner of private prisons in the entire USA. And Vanguard and BlackRock own everything. The crossover in ownership of the music industry and private prisons is beyond disturbing. Let's make this clear. The people who own the media and are responsible for putting gangster rap at the center of youth culture are the very same people who own private prisons. They make money from getting gangsters in the hood to glorify the lives they lead. They don't care about the impact on society because money is their only god. When the gangster rap, they are promoting influences young people to engage in criminal behavior. They make even more money from all the impressionable, low-income people of color who fill their private prisons. And see, even if this was true, and I'm not saying that it's not, the outcome of rap as my concrete evidence to say, bro, I actually believe that. Because today we see how it's babies. And it's been videos of babies. I'm talking about 4 or 5-year-olds cussing out police officers.
Shut up, man. Don't come and face that. You pushing out little kids. It's a big donkey head. Versus that don't look like this. You got those ugly ass churches like that. I'm frying his ass. His deep fried Oreo head ass. I said, when I wanted them in a frying pan, they ass gonna burn.
Being raised without, father figures in the home, having no respect for authority at all, whatsoever. And the list goes on and on. But when I actually sit back and I examine, a lot of black people hate America and everything that they feel that it stands for. And a lot of that has promoted discord and racial conflict. But the kicker to that, though, is a lot of rap music is the fuel behind a lot of that. Because rap music, what I've learned to look at that as is struggle music. It's a lot of people talking about how bad they got it, how they had to get it, or how they had to struggle to get it, how they had to jump off their porch early and sell drugs when they were 2 years old, how their mama was working 3 jobs and strung out on crack, and how their fathers wasn't nowhere in the home.
My great grandma got hit with a Draco. I can't sleep at night. And my real dad lost to my stepdad in a slapbot fight. And my little cousin scrounged on crack sheet number 4 years old. And my auntie just got back from Vietnam. She lost 3 of her toes. I'm fighting demon. Yo, on God. Demon. Yo. They think I'm rich because a nigga got all this ice on. A bullet hit me in the back of my head, knocked out my eyeball. Yeah, this shit dropping soon.
And now I'm not saying that these things aren't reality for a lot of people, because they most definitely were. Not them selling drugs at 2 years old. I was joking about that. But what this majorly has turned out to be, or what mainstream media has made this turn out to be, is the black experience. And the voice of artists has been given the most prominence within our communities, and probably the only voice, if I have to be honest. Because anybody else speaking the message opposite of that almost gets rejected, canceled, or shunned altogether. But struggle and the results of it, which is anger, bitterness, jealousy, envy, has become somewhat of the cool thing for black people. So it's just like, if, you know what I'm saying, you're not out here in the streets, you ain't black. Because you ain't, you know what I'm saying? Because they've equated the black experience with struggle. If you ain't out here selling dope, you ain't from the streets, or you ain't black. If you ain't out here gangbanging, you ain't out here talking slang, you ain't out here, you know what I'm saying, wearing your pants below your butt, you ain't out here, whipping the cutlass on 24s with chains, gold, you know what I'm saying, gold teeth in your mouth. If you ain't showing no type of sign that you had to struggle to get to where you were, or whatever the case might be. Basically, if you haven't had to struggle, you ain't black. That's like the message that's being put out. that was most definitely put out, because I seen it a lot growing up, and still even today. But if you haven't had to struggle, if you haven't had to go through anything, then you're not black. And we see these kids who raise in two-parent households, who live, these black kids who live in gated communities or good communities, who haven't had those experiences. A lot of times they get made fun of, ridiculed, because for the people that's making fun of them, that's not the black thing to do. And what be sad more than anything is those kids that's from those gated communities, now they start trying to portray the life as if they're from the hood. And I mean, let's keep it a buck, bro. Don't no kid want to get talked about. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't nobody want to feel like they don't fit in. And so, or you don't know how not to be unashamed of your parents' wealth. And I mean, as a child, all you want to do is fit in, especially with people of your same skin complexion. You know what I'm saying? So, their peer pressure tough. And so those kids tend to do that. And we've seen a lot of that. Even with Michael Irvin exposed his son is a perfect example. T.I. and his son. We start to see this stuff a lot, but because of the main message that's put out in rap, that if you don't come from the struggle and you ain't black. But this reminds me of the Fresh Prince episode when the fraternity wouldn't accept Carlton.
I'm not supposed to say anything, but you have nothing to worry about. You're in. Your word? Me and Carlton got in? Well, not exactly. I mean, you're cool and all, but Carlton, well, he's not exactly our type. Say, what do you mean, not our type? Well, Carlton is not like you and me. You know what I'm saying? No, I don't know what you're saying. Will, Carlton doesn't exactly exemplify what I think a Phi Beta Gamma is. Oh, and what is that? Well, it's not Ralph Lauren shirts and wingtip shoes in corporate America. We don't need a brother like him in this fraternity. Man, he is exactly what you need in this fraternity. I mean, Carlton has been a straight A student since preschool. He gives you 150% every time. Look, Will, I realize he's your cousin and you have to defend him, but this discussion is closed. All right. Come on, man. Let's go. I didn't get in. What? Why? Look, I don't know, man. Come on, just let's go. How dare you not take Will? He's full of potential. That's why we want him. It's you we don't want. Me? But I did everything. I cooked, I cleaned, I hand-washed the toilets. Everything your butler does for you. I'm not accepting no prep school, Bel Air bred sellout into my fraternity. Homie, you can stop all that. No, wait, Will. I got this one. You think I'm a sellout. Why? Because I live in a big house or I dress a certain way? Or maybe it's because I like Barry Manilow. He meant Barry White, y'all. Being black isn't what I'm trying to be, it's what I am. I'm running the same race and jumping the same hurdles you are, so why are you tripping me up? You said we need to stick together, but you don't even know what that means. If you ask me, you're the real sellout. Yeah, that's right, boy. And in the words of my illustrious cousin, we gonna make like a tree and leave. Look, you don't speak for the rest of us, dog. I'm gonna have you kicked out of here. Make like a tree and leave? I never say that. It's make like a banana and split. I'll keep that in mind, all right?
Laszlo, how could you?
Oh, get over it, Mary. I'm leaving you. For your brother.
Oh,
you've got to take this from me tomorrow. Damn that Laszlo.
Hey, we looking at the newest Phi Beta Gamma?
No. Apparently, I'm not enough of a brother to be a brother.
What?
The pledge leader said he didn't like sellouts.
Well, who does? I mean, you wait and wait and wait. When you finally get to the front of the line, everything's gone.
You know, this really irritates me. I have worked very hard to give my family a good life, and suddenly somebody tells me there's a penalty for success? I'm sorry you had to go through this, son. When are we going to stop doing this to each other?
Now, I want to read a letter to you. Hopefully, y'all attention spans is legit. But this letter is talked about by Crazy Bone. It's titled The Secret Meeting That Changed Rap Music and Destroyed a Generation. But it's about a man who went to a secretive meeting, and he's going to tell us what actually took place at this secretive meeting. So the article was, it surfaced at Tuesday, April 24th, 2012.
More than 20 years, I finally decided to tell the world what I witnessed in 1991, which I believe was one of the biggest turning points in popular music and ultimately American society. I have struggled for a long time weighing the pros and cons of making my story public, as I was reluctant to implicate the individuals who were present that day. So I've simply decided to leave out the names and all the details that may risk my personal well-being and that of those who were, like me, dragged into something they weren't ready for.
Damn.
Hold on, let me,
So we gonna tell the story?
We gonna tell the story. We ain't scared.
You know what I'm saying? What they gonna do?
They after us, not explaining.
Look, that black man.
So look, so he says, between the late 80s and early 90s, I was what you may call a decision maker with one of the more established companies in the music industry. I came to Europe in the early 80s and quickly established myself in the business. The industry was different back then, since technology and media weren't accessible to people like that, like they are today. The industry had more control over the public and had the means to influence them any way it wanted.
Right.
This may explain why in early 1991, I was invited to attend a closed-door meeting with a small group of business insiders to discuss rap music's new direction. Rap music's new direction.
Yeah.
Little did I know we would be asked to participate in one of the most unethical and destructive business practices ever seen.
Crazy.
So this was the meeting. The meeting was held at a private residence on the outskirts of Los Angeles. I remember about 25 to 30 people were being there. Right. Most of them familiar faces. Speaking of those I knew, we joked about the theme of the meeting, as many of us did not care for rap and failed to see the purpose of being invited to a private meeting to discuss the future of hip-hop.
Talk to him.
Among the attendees was a small group of unfamiliar faces who stayed to themselves and made no attempt to socialize beyond their circle. Based on their behavior and formal appearances, they didn't seem to be from our industry. Our casual chatter was interrupted when we were asked to sign a confidentiality agreement preventing us from publicly discussing the information presented during the meeting. Needless to say, this intrigued, in some cases, disturbed many of us. The agreement was only a page long, but very clear on matters and consequences, which stated that violating the terms would result in job termination immediately. We asked several people what this meeting was about and the reason for such secrecy, but could not find anyone who had the answers for us. A few people refused to sign and walked out. Nobody stopped them. I was tempted to follow, but curiosity got the best of me.
That's right.
A man who was part of the unfamiliar group collected all the agreements from us. So now it's going to get to the good part because the meeting about to start.
Talk to him, Jake.
It says, quickly after the meeting began, hold on one second.
Get your popcorn, y'all.
Popcorn, get your pistol. No,
for real though.
Quickly after this meeting began, one of the industry colleagues, who shall remain nameless like everybody else, thanked us for attending. He then gave the floor to a man who only introduced himself by first name and gave no other details about his personal background. I think he was the owner of the residence, but that was never confirmed. He briefly praised all of us for the success we had achieved in our industries and congratulated us for being selected as part of this small group of decision makers. At this point, I began to feel slightly uncomfortable and the strangeness of this gathering. The subject quickly changed as the speaker went on to tell us that the respective companies we represented had invested in a very profitable industry which could become even more rewarding with our active involvement.
Damn.
He explained that the companies we worked for had invested millions into the building of privately owned prisons, and that our positions of influence in the music industry would actually impact the profitability of these investments. Then he says, I remember many of us in the group immediately looking at each other in awe and confusion. At the same time, I didn't know what a private prison was, but I wasn't the only one. Sure enough, someone asked what these prisons were and what any of this had to do with music. We were told that these prisons were built by privately owned companies who received funding from the government based on the number of inmates.
Mm-hmm.
The more inmates, the more the government would pay these prisons.
Mm-hmm.
It was also made clear to us that since these prisons are privately owned, as they become publicly traded, we'd be able to buy shares. Most of us were taken back by this. Again, a couple of people asked what this had to do with us. At this point, my industry colleague who had first opened the meeting took the floor again and answered our questions. He told us that since our employees had become silent investors in this prison business, it was now in their interest to make sure that these prisons remained filled. Our job would be to help make this happen by making music which promote criminal behavior, rap being the music of choice. He assured us that this would be a great situation for us because rap music was becoming an increasingly profitable market for our companies, and as employees, we'd also be able to buy stocks in these prisons. Immediately, silence came over the room. You could have heard a pin drop. I remember looking around to make sure I wasn't dreaming and saw half of the people with dropped jaws. My daze was interrupted when someone shouted, "Is this a fucking joke?" At this point, things became chaotic.
Right.
Two of the men who were part of the unfamiliar group grabbed the man who shouted and attempted to remove him from the house. A few of us, myself included, tried to intervene. One of them pulled out a gun, and we all backed off. They separated us from the crowd, and all four of us was escorted outside. My industry colleague, who opened up the meeting earlier, hurried out to meet us and reminded us that we had signed an agreement and would suffer the consequences of speaking out about this publicly, or even those who attended the meeting.
Damn.
I asked him, why was he involved with something so corrupt? And he replied, it's bigger than the music business and nothing we can do. No, it's bigger than the music business and nothing we want to challenge without risking consequences. We all protested as we walked back into the house. I remember word for word the last thing he said. It's out of my hands now. Just remember you signed an agreement. He then closed the door behind him. The men rushed us to our car and actually waited until we drove off the property.
Damn.
So this meeting, bro.
Now that's a lot for a meeting right there.
Oh yeah, definitely. And this person later on, he said, this person actually ended up leaving the music industry after this happened. Well, a few years after this, he ended up leaving the music industry.
Okay.
And he'd say he just over the years, he just felt guilty because he said as he sat back and he watched these plans come to a reality.
Over 2 decades.
He sat back and was like, wow, they really pulled it off.
Yeah.
They really pulled this off. He was like, they were told not to sign any more political rappers, any more rappers that had messages in their music.
No positivity.
It was all to be gangster rap music that they promoted and put out.
So if you wonder where Brand Nubians went, where Poor Righteous Teachers went, where Public Enemy went, where KRS-One went, and all sorts of groups like that was talking, even Queen Latifah and Moni Love and those,
everybody.
It's a back door.
Yeah, anything that was harmless, fun rap, anything that had a message in it had to go.
So we see somewhere down the line, there was some kind of social engineering that took place to ruin a whole generation. And now, of course, the whole generation is not ruined. You still got some good parents out there who raise decent young men and women. But the thing we see today, especially with the mainstream, bro, we're now seeing the reaping of the seeds that were sown over the past 20 years. And if you pay close attention to it, you get people now trying to wake out of the slumber because they see the bull crap. They see the Sexy Reds. They see the Lil Nas X's. They see the Saucy Santanas. They see the Sukiyanas. But you see the industries and the government trying to reinforce those destructive ideologies all over again. But it's time for us to rise up, speak the truth, hold to accountability, because that's the only thing that's going to change our situation and make a difference. But man, let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace, love. I'm out.
Swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth. Put my hands on the Bible, y'all point me to the booth. Swear to tell the truth.